Well, good morning. This is Sam. Had a decent rest. Finally come to terms with my age. I honestly feel, I know this is going to sound really weird, but like everything else, but it took me, as far as I know, believe it or not, 16 years to come to terms with midlife stuff. I mean, I'm 60 right now, and that's quite beyond midlife, right? It's at the tail end of midlife and beginning of elderly stuff, and this whole time, basically for 16 years, 44 to 60, something like that, 44 to 60. I've been in kind of like what I would call a freaking midlife crisis. Man, this is not a joke. This is not a joke. 16 years in a midlife crisis. I mean, not that I could afford or felt like compelled to buy, a fancy car like what's it called? Like a Firebird or a typical midlife crisis American vehicle for a man. But I was there, man, for 16 years. 16 years, basically not able to handle the fact that I was middle-aged. Had to be Mr. Youthful, has to be Mr. Young. Oh, and this morning, last night, get this, man. I mean, this is typical for me. It's so typical. This is so typical. So freaking typical is trying to solve all the world's problems. I mean, it's in the process of learning, and in the process of learning about the world's problems, like Ukraine and the new Hamas-Israel war, and the fact that we're still doing female mutilations, which surprised the hell out of me. I mean, surprised the heck out of me. I thought we're all beyond, the wars I understand, but, I get that, that like territorialism and aggression and stuff. But the female genital mutilations, the FGM, I'm like, I start crying, and I got to write one of the foundations, which I did. But the thing is, I always approach it, always. How can I solve all the world's problems? And that happened in Barokan, especially with Ukraine. And I constantly trying to look at it from different perspectives. And what can we do about this? It's and I'm like, oh, dude, let it go. Fuck it. Just fucking let it go, man. Let it go. The FGM is a little bit different because, not that I was trying to look at it from a godlike perspective and what would God do about that? Not really. It's just I couldn't believe that here we are in 2023 and we're still concerned, or we're still occupied with things like treating women as equals. I mean, I started, what was it? Yeah, I wrote down, I started like an essay here. I mean, it's not a bad beginning, but, it's like, well, you'll see. It's quite poignant. Female genital mutilation is the beginning of the essay. Probably I won't end up writing about it because, I'm talking about it now. FGM takes away a woman's right to feel permanently. How would men feel if women did the same thing to them? Because it sounds like from what I hear or read that, it's perpetrators are men. Sounds like. Now, how would men feel if the same thing was done to them, man? Like, the tip of their penis taken off so that they couldn't enjoy sex anymore. I mean, the the one video that I remember seeing some years ago is where they did it. They did it to a young woman, and basically used like a razor blade to cut off her clitoris, and then also used a razor blade to slice up her nipples so that she would not be able to enjoy sex anymore, sensuality or anything sexual. And I'm like, and that video registered, and sunk in my subconscious, and then I read about it last night, and I'm starting to cry and everything, and realizing that how effed up we still are about a lot of things like that. And I'm like, well, thank goodness there's a lot of NGOs going after the problem. And I mean, right now, it's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just that, I can't do anything about it except this kind of commentary, and I've got to learn, like, especially what happened in Ginbarokan. It's like, man, I was literally carrying all the world's problems on my shoulders, and imagining that at that time, or one of the entities along with me was God the Father, and God the Father's trying to, how is it? God the Father wanted to learn what it's like to be human, so God the Father, I had somehow convinced myself that God the Father was with me my entire life, right? And, because God the Father had to find out what it's like to be human, but at the same time, I was like going through hell, and I thought, well, I guess God the Father needs to know what it's like, and really needs to know like it's like to live with a crazy guy, a crazy human. And the thing is, man, it's like, just that idea, it's from a religious point of view, it sort of makes sense, but from a no soul point of view, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. If there are any, I didn't see in those websites about FGM, I didn't see anything leveled, like they're going to pay for their sins, things like that. I didn't see anything like that. Well, there's a little bit about justice, but the thing is, more about helping people cope with what happened, helping women cope with that's permanent, and then help them educate others about what's happening, what's still happening in many countries. I mean, with like a 98% FGM is happening in some countries with a 98% frequency, which means that most of the women are going through this stuff. And I'm like, this is just, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, I started an essay. Likely won't even end up writing it, because now I'm able to talk about it like right now. But at the same time, I've got serious problems, man. I mean, serious problems. Serious problems. Because if I automatically think like, what can we do about this? Thank goodness that I'm not looking at it from a quote unquote God the Father perspective anymore. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Because it's ridiculous. And why me? And why not just everybody? So I started thinking. At one point I couldn't. My notions of religion and spirituality just couldn't cope with the idea that that God is multi-conscious, and spending quality time with every single person on the planet, because it's just what do you call it? It turns God into like this. It's an impossible creature, and even recently, it's like, how can if it's like Bruce Almighty. Anybody know that movie, Bruce Almighty, and where everybody's praying for different things and like wish fulfillment, and they're all praying different things, and they end up driving Bruce crazy, in a sense, and it's not unlike what happened in my fantasy about so-called God the Father. It's like, why wouldn't the guy be crazy? Everybody freaking, praying for a different thing and driving the old man freaking nuts, with their demands, and it's just demands, not prayers. Like make me rich, or why wasn't I born, handsome or beautiful, or rich and famous, or all of those, all the above. It's just, I had, and a tendency to I had serious mental issues, and I have these serious tendencies that just feed into delusional framing, and it just, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It's really stupid. The other, I keep coming across this notion, life is for fun, man. Life is too short. Like the previous video, life is too short, man. It's too effing short, man. It's too effing short to spend your entire, waking hours every day blaming others for the past, and finding fault with everyone around you, and even yourself, and just in a self-recriminating mode, and also putting the blame on others, and just always about blame, when, FGM is an important issue in today's world, obviously. The thing is, man, for those of us who can't do anything about it, like me, I'm homeless, just survival money, and that's it. And I got to think about myself, man. I have to think about myself. And my remaining years, not spending my remaining years like the last 2 or 3 years, or the last 16 years. I can't even accept that I'm freaking middle-aged until I'm at the end of middle age. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I can't accept middle age until I'm at the end of middle age. I mean, talk about denial. Talk about freaking denial. I can't accept my middle-agedness until at the end of middle-aged. And that's quite pathetic, and obviously in a state of denial for 16 freaking years. So my point is, for myself and for anybody like me, if we're, I mean, and what am I going to do for the next, for the elderly thing, So finally, I come up with this idea, that it's pretty accurate. So I came up with this idea that find an animal in nature that you feel you are like, not want to be like. If you want to be tough like a badger or a wolverine, man, that's cool, but that's not who you may be. You may be more like me, a possum. Possum, man. Possums are cool. Possums are all right, man. Possums are all right, man. A little skittish, and nocturnal, and they're okay, man. They're really super unattractive compared to other animals, but it's neither here nor there, man. So yeah, I mean, for over the last couple days, I've been sort of referring in a very sweet, accepting way. It's no longer Cringer and Battle Cat. No, it's Possum, man. Sam Possum. Sam Possum. And it's okay. It's okay. Sam Possum. So yeah, again, for the yeah, for the child in you who has, and you have more than likely you have an incredible imagination, just like the rest of us do, except we may use it in ways that we're not aware of. Um, if you, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Walter Mitty, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, the remake, and I just finally recently watched the old one, the old version, which has almost like nothing to do with the new one. Um, he's living in a dream world. I mean, constantly, and there's TV shows like that. There's a woman, female character where she's always imagining things, and I mean, like sarcastic things, and it's funny. Um, but Walter, I think there's two reasons why he had his fantasies. He wanted to be an adventurer, but I guess didn't have the balls to do it. So in the film, he ends up being an adventurer, goes to Iceland. I mean, he actually does it by chasing after this old coworker. And another thing is he didn't have the balls to ask a particular girl at work out. He does at the end, but the thing is, man, I think in the film, in that particular film, it's about a guy, it's like something about Mary, or, right? Something about Mary. It's like that one too, which might even be the same actor. Believing in himself, man. Believing in himself. That he's good enough. That he's good enough. In something about Mary, that character, he felt like such a nobody unless he was with her. He felt like such a nobody unless he was with her. And that's something I do need to talk about, because when you build your identity related to somebody else, man, it could come crashing down at any moment, right? When you build your identity, your self-identity based on somebody else, it could come crashing down at any moment. And as soon as that person like either turns on you or criticizes you, and you say like, oh fuck, what the fuck did I do? My goddess, my ultra goddess, the one I worship, the one I build my identity around, just told me something that I don't like. Now, how do you fucking reconcile that, man? Well, either you're gonna, let her run your life, or you're gonna let her micromanage your life like I did with my ex. Because, what, she was trying to mold me into the perfect husband or something, I mean, I don't, the thing is, man, if you can't believe in yourself, yeah, it's going to be a little hard for others too, as well, right? So, yeah, don't use other people to build your self-esteem or your identity around, like in something about Mary. And if you gotta live your life in your imagination, like in Walter Mitty, because you can't even recognize what type of person you are. I mean, like I see myself as an explorer. That's not wishful thinking. So I'm a what do you call it, a possum, but at the same time, I'm an explorer, man. And I don't especially like the expression or idea. I don't like to be tied down. I don't want to stay in one place for too long. But it is kind of me. It is kind of me. If I'm honest and can look in the mirror, I mean, it is kind of me. I don't like to stay in one place for any too for too long and feel like I can't move on. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't, um, when I visualize about going back to South Florida, it's not where I grew up, that's for sure. Um, uh, well, recently I said to myself and to others, that potentially might be listening internally, I said, I don't want to die here, man. I don't want to die in the Philippines. I do not want to die in the Philippines. The thing is, I don't want to die in South Florida either. I don't want to die in South Florida. And not that I have to go to Michigan where I was, where I grew up. I'm not saying that. But I'd rather go to Michigan than back to California. I mean, I was just starting to get comfortable in California after about 4 years living there. I was just starting to, feeling like, just starting to feel a little bit comfortable and feeling like I got to move on. I was just starting to feel comfortable when I felt like I better start moving on, man, because it's just not happening. You know what I mean? When I say it's just not happening, typically what I mean is like not with a dream girl or what just a few days ago might call a waterfall, like Tammy. The thing is, man, with that kind of cynical attitude and always hell bent on something like, oh, I got to be with my soulmate. I got to be with my soulmate. I got to find my soulmate. It's like, come on, please. Please. I mean, for one thing, I got so many issues, man. It's so fucking obvious to me now. How can human life, ever satisfy Salvatore, or nicknamed the Sass? How can human life ever satisfy this guy when his expectations, his hopes, his dreams are way impossible? His whole freaking life. And it's not just waterfalls, man. It's that notion of soulmate. It's like, oh, I gotta be with my soulmate. Where's my soulmate? Where's my soulmate? It's like, you should see my expression. It's just so stupid, man. It's just so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid and unrealistic. I mean, can't we be happy with ourselves? I mean, can't we be happy? I used to know this. She was a Christian woman and she never got married. She was always a single woman, as far as I know, a virgin for whatever reasons, and always just. I mean, yeah, she might have been a lesbian, but the thing is, it doesn't matter if she was like a closet lesbian or whatever. The thing is, she was happy. She was happy with herself. She didn't need somebody else to uh, to build her identity around, or she didn't need a soulmate. She didn't need, it's like I met her when I was around 18. And it doesn't matter what denomination she was, Christian denomination. It's just what matters is that she was happy, man. And me and my girlfriend at the time, we were like, she knew her better than me. My girlfriend knew her better than me. But I was like, wow, someone who doesn't need another person, someone who doesn't need a mythical soulmate. Someone who's actually happy by themselves, it's like, wow. Imagine that. Imagine that. Yeah, too much of my life believing in the idea, that, um, and I can't put my finger on anyone in my past, any single person, and say, "Yep, that's my soulmate." It just didn't work out. There's nobody in my past like that. Yeah, I did use the expression fairly recently, like "love of my life." I did use that about Yui, but that doesn't mean she was my soulmate. I mean, love of your life and soulmate, I think, are two different things. I think most people would agree that those are two different things. Um, so it used to be my question, number one question: Do you believe in the soulmate? And many people would say no, man. They'd be honest. They're a younger generation, and they would just say the truth, man. I mean, from their perspective. Why would they lie? I just couldn't accept it, in my life, because my parents stayed together 63 years, and I wrote about that and everything, and from a psychobabble point of view. But not that it's wrong, not that framework is wrong. I'm just saying, I framed it, in an essay about multiple personas in us, and anyways. It's look, what I consider profound at one moment in my life, another moment is like, why did I think that was profound? What I'm saying? So it's um, yeah, it doesn't. I don't have to end this essay, like what do you call it? Like what do you call it? Like profundity and crying and saying, oh, like, if it's just that. Yeah, it's okay. These video essays. I mean, now at this moment, it can be just more like a blog, right? It doesn't have to be profound. It doesn't have to be like a video blog with no video, just an audio track. But the thing is, like YouTube won't allow just audio tracks, so this is the closest I can get to like an audio blog. I spend way too much time on physics, but at least thinking that, imagining that I could make a difference, and same thing about life, I spent way too much of my life worrying about things impossible to do anything about, and imagining I could make a difference about those things as well. And who knows, maybe in time, physics, it could have, it could hold water. Who knows? Hopefully I won't be around for that. Hopefully. Yeah. Oh, God. I used to be friends with this guy Johnny, the Jaws. He's so cool. He was the coolest of us, right? Of our little gang, our little college gang, the coolest of us, because he was in a band, and the girls love a guy in a band, man, especially if he's the lead vocalist and the lead guitarist, I'm like, I'm watching from, I'm also a kind of, an honorary, what I call it, groupie, because I knew the guy since junior high, right? And I'm like, no. It's like, I've known him since junior high, and he's always going to be, the coolest of us, and it's like, fuck you, why don't you go kill yourself? And I was like, why do you have to be so mean? It's like, oh God. But he's cool, man. He's cool. He's all right. Um, yeah. At that, when I knew him, I mean, back in the so-called college days, my girlfriend at the time, her name is Jackie, and there's no end of how cool she is. Um, uh, as a fellow explorer, I mean, she's just one tough cookie, man. She is one freaking tough cookie. And that is one of my regrets in my life is um, not having a family with her, not having a more, what do you call it, permanent relationship or permanent friendship with her. Um, oh man, the whole time I'm with her, though, it's just so fucking sad. It's what I was trying to say before. I gotta find my soulmate. It's like, oh God, Salvatore, Salvatore, Salvatore. She was a good friend. Jackie was a good friend. Yeah. Good friend, and I shat all over her. I mean, not intentionally, of course, just in the process of finding my soul, or trying to find my soulmate, I had pooped all over my best friend. I mean, when you put it like that, it's ridiculous. It's just and so I used to call myself pathetic, man, and the thing is, when you can't live like that. You can't live like, constantly denigrating yourself. I mean, if you're a comedian, I suppose you could maybe make money off of it, walk into a place and just start like Sam Kinison, and just um, start screaming, like he did, and he was hilarious, Sam Kinison, but and he made money from it, man. Hilarious comedian, man. Um, you know, the thing is about self-awareness is hopefully we can, learn about ourselves and ideally, hopefully, not keep repeating the same damn mistakes over and over again, unless that's what we want to do, I guess, I mean, oh man. As I got older, I mean, toward this age, I found myself essentially dating younger and younger women because they were the women that were, what do you call it, so-called marrying age, or the ones that the young women like millennials, like my current wife is a millennial, um, uh, and the one before her, she was born back in early '80s. Yeah. Um, and she's just about to turn middle age herself right now. Just about to turn 40. I think this year and next, anyways. Anyways, yeah, middle age is cool, man. I love that now. I mean, she's perfect for me. But the thing is, man, it's ruined. It's ruined. It's fucking ruined, man. If she was single, if she was single, I wouldn't, I would love to be her boyfriend. But there's no reason why we should, or shack up together. There's no reason why we should get married. I'm looking, right now, maturity-wise, and the kind of chicks that turn me on, I mean, internally and, like sophisticated wise, I mean, the chicks that turn me on sophisticated wise and maturity wise, especially maturity wise, are at least 39, man. That's her age. She's perfect age, man. Born in 1984, and no, what I mean is like the bottom of the age range. That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm not talking about smack in the middle. I'm talking about the bottom of the age range, And when I say perfect age, I mean 39 or 40 to my age, man. And even older is possible too for me, man. Because the things I admire now about a woman is just, can she get me? Can she accept me? Can she love me for who I am, faults and all? But yeah, I think what do you call it? And not try to remold me into some, an idea of her, or something like her ideal man or ideal husband or something. Just um, it's a hell of a lot more likely to have a decent relationship with, someone who's, like what do you call it? Similar age and similar values and similar, what do you call it? Inclinations. And I'm not trying to say that opposites don't attract. Of course they do. Of course they do. But that doesn't mean it's going to work out very well. Well, especially if one is trying to make the other into something else. I don't. If indeed it's true that opposites attract, look out, man. I don't, um, ideally from a, what do you call it? From a, oh, they're complementary. It's like, what does that? Why does it have to be like, like everything like ideally? Like, what the fuck, man? I don't know, man. Complementariness is great when you're on a team and you got some goal to accomplish. But what if the goal is just happiness? I don't know. Man. Then there's this other idea, that like attracts like. Uh, similar temperament attracts. You know, um, so. And how long can you be happy? How long can you be happy? Is there a formula? Do you have a formula, for the length, the duration of a relationship? Seems like in my life, 7 years is about the tops, man. Seems like in my life, 7 years is about it, man. I don't know, man. And I shouldn't go into a relationship with what do you call it, expectations that it's going to last any longer than 7 years. Not with my freaking track record. Not with my freaking track record, man. And I most certainly should not get married. It's just, yeah, yeah, yeah. Watch. I do. Watch. I do exactly I get back to the States and I do exactly the opposite. Right. It's typical for the Sass. I say all this stuff and then I get to the States and I'll meet somebody and it's like, she's gonna solve all my problems, and I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know, man. Life is. is too short for, like wish fulfillment. Philip Jean, my oldest brother, he's just like, and yeah, I'm obviously a fucking dreamer, obviously a fucking dreamer. And, I don't, who wants a fucking dreamer, man? I don't know, man. Who wants a dreamer? Who wants a dreamer, man? I wouldn't mind being able to, given the chance to do stand-up comedy. I wouldn't mind having the chance. Like the following joke, well, I once knew a guy who started dating his psychotherapist, and wait. Just wait, man. Just wait. I'll figure out a goofy punchline. Hold on. I know a guy who started dating his psychotherapist. Well, when and the next morning when they both woke up and actually looked who they were with, and it turns out it was Claudia Schiffer pretending to be a psychotherapist, and well, I don't know. I don't know who the guy was, man, but he bailed. He left a note, and said, "I thought you were a psychotherapist, and it turned out to be Claudia Schiffer, man, and you just ruined all my expectations, man." It ruined all my expectations, man. When I woke up and found out you're a supermodel, yeah, it's just ruined my day, man. Oh my god. That actually, that has roots in Love Actually. There's a lot of one-liners from that film that kind of pop up from actually all films that kind of pop up from time to time, and we could attempt that. Yeah, we could attempt that. But we'll have to see. Have to see how it goes, man. I mean, it's the kind of jokes that I come up with. It's they're not PC, and they can be taken really the wrong way because I mean they're really. I mean, when you say off color, man, they're really bad. Like we're talking about. Well, remember when we were talking about FGM? I just I brought it up because I have to be in my old mode. I have to be do the right thing, and be Mr. Caring and stuff. But I mean, I could be really, really, really bad. Like a bad joke meister, and then say, in actuality, I was a technician. I used to work in a FGM clinic, and it's my only way, like what do you call it? My only way to sort of make amends is raise awareness through jokes, man. And they're like, that's not something you should joke about, man. It's just not something you should joke about. Yeah, but I'm just simply trying to raise awareness. What's wrong with that? A lot of people use jokes to raise awareness, man. Oh, man. Life is too short, man. Life is too short, man. Life is too short, man. A little girl gave me this little pamphlet, God's provisions and promises, there's a waterfall in the front, man. I'm like, yeah, that's me chasing waterfalls, and there's a little rainbow that, I could get all sarcastic and talk about Noah and the promises in the Bible that that what do you call it? There's not going to be another flood and then blah 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 blah. It's just it's like like come on, man. That's the joke, man. Spontaneous, kind of crude. Lips smacking good. God's provisions and promises. It's pretty. I wonder where that is. So, yeah, I was in so many places. Like I mentioned in California. Oh, hold on a second. $46. So I was in California for about 4 years, like I said, just getting comfortable, and then I feel like I got to move on for whatever reasons, because whatever. And then I visit Monterey, and maybe even Modesto near there, Monterey, and I got goosebumps just thinking about it. I got fucking goosebumps just thinking about Monterey, man. I mean, it's just so incredibly beautiful. I mean, at least for me at that time. It's like, and of course it would happen just before I leave. It's where they filmed one of the Star Trek movies, at least part of it. Yeah. I had so many, what do you call it? So much, I did a little bit of snorkeling there. Oh my God. Oh my God. The kelp forest there. Oh my God. It's beyond belief. The beauty of, if you're a snorkeler, what do you call it? If you're a snorkeler, it's just beyond belief beautiful. When the visibility's good, it's just absolutely unbelievable. There's kelp forests there that I mean stuff you could eat, right? If it was legal to harvest. Oh my God. Oh my God. No, I mean there's stuff. Yeah, I mean there's stuff that I've seen in my life. It's just there's no words to describe the beauty and the. I mean, it's just when I first went to southern New Mexico and I saw the yuccas. The yuccas. I mean, this is after seeing the incredible uh, saguaro forests in southern Arizona as you go east. As you go east, from California to toward Texas, you go through southern Arizona. That's on the right, or on the right side, and all around you end up being saguaro forest, right? As you cross the state line into New Mexico, it transitions into yucca, and I'm like, oh my God, how many hundreds or thousands of years has it been like this? How many hundreds or thousands of years has it been like this? And it just feels freaking magical, freaking magical, this stuff. It's like people live here in these magical lands. People live here in these magical lands. Or in Monterey, when you got this magical forest right next door. Incredibly, no words to describe beautiful kelp forest in Monterey and the saguaro cactuses in southern Arizona and the yuccas in southern New Mexico. And that's just a little bit of, what I've seen, man. In British Columbia, it's also a different kind of incredible, unbelievable beauty in near Vancouver, going north. And then there's a port town that goes. You can take the ferry to Queen Charlotte. Oh my God, man. When I was in Queen Charlotte on the east side, it was another magical place for me, man. And it's not the kind of beach that you would want to go to the beach and lay down and sunbathe. It's not that kind of beach. It's full of rocks and stuff, and so it's a different kind of beach. And there's no words to describe the serenity that I felt when I was there. Little tremors were happening. The water was so still. The water going east, from toward the mainland, was so still. It was so still that you could see tremors coming off the land and going out. That's how calm the water was. So, what I've experienced in my life, there's no words to describe the natural beauty that I've seen on this planet. No words to describe, man. Also that includes, wait, hold on, Stewart Island in New Zealand, man. Stewart Island in New Zealand. Every place is unique, and every place has its incredible beauty. There's a hiking trail that goes around the island in Stewart Island. I never completed it. I don't know if I ever will. I would love to, but I prefer not to do it alone. I prefer to do it with someone, what do you call it, in my preferred age bracket and female. Well, you have a choice. I think it's typical to go counterclockwise. I think head north, then west, then south, and you could maybe do it in 2 weeks. Probably you'd want to take longer than that. And I think it does circumnavigate the whole island. There's a hiking trail, and sometimes along the beach. I was at the beginning, and I could hear kiwi at nighttime. I think I had a tent with me. I can't. I think I was by myself. I can't remember. But anyways, I could hear kiwis at nighttime, kiwi birds, and they had a strange, ominous sound, but not scary. And there's this creature called a katydid, which is an extremely large insect. It's probably the largest insect on the planet. And it looks alien-like and weird, but it's from Earth, man. Katydid. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff down in New Zealand and Australia. Weird and cool stuff. A lot of people think that ostriches come from Australia, right? A lot of people think, but I think they originate from Africa. So there's an African variety, I think, um, and an Australian variety. And then there's a thing called a moa, man, a moa, and they would tower over ostriches. I mean, tower over ostriches, and huge, just immense creatures, right? And the eggs were incredibly large. So I wrote this story, and there's a statue downtown Auckland of a moa. And there's I wrote the story called Mumu the Last Moa Hunter. Mumu the Last Moa Hunter. It was a preservationist story. You know, humans, be aware of what you're losing before you lose it. And are you sure that you want to lose that species like Siberian tiger? In Babylon AD, there's a synthetic Siberian tiger. In other words, human-made. It's biological. It's not a machine. It's biological and synthesized, but like rejuvenated in a sense. A rejuvenated species. I kind of wish there was times in my life when they would do the moa or mastodon or a saber-toothed cat, man. I mean, for one thing, to prove that science can do it. For one thing, to prove that science can do it. And it's not a bad, what do you call it? It's not playing God. Not to me. To rejuvenate a species is not playing God. It's giving a species a second chance, man. That we might have had a hand in decimating or, pushing toward extinction. Who's to say that early, human settlers in Americas, North and South America, especially North America, who's to say that we didn't wipe out the mastodon? Who's to say it was a meteor strike, 13.5 thousand years ago? I mean, that could have had a lot to do with it. In Greenland, northwest Greenland. That could have had a lot to do with it. But we might have hunted them to extinction beforehand. And saber-toothed cats. And giant sloth. And the moa. You can't blame Native American groups for that. That's just survival, man. That's just survival. I mean, if you say giant sloth, what does that sound like? Oh, a slow-moving creature that's not dangerous. And their claws are huge, man. If you look at pictures of a giant sloth, man, their claws are huge. And they ain't always moving slow, man. They aren't like in the cartoons, man. They ain't all moving slow like in the cartoons, man. Okay, so, and they're dangerous. But they got a lot of meat on them. Just like a saber-toothed cat got a lot of meat on them too, man. And a mastodon, the most meat, right? You bring down a mastodon, you can feed your clan for how many, a long time, man. Okay, a few days, depending on the size of the clan. Well, yeah, the rule of thumb is human beings apparently got rid of anything that was larger than them. Human beings basically exterminated anything that was larger than them, except for the buffalo, right? The Europeans took care of that problem. Well, before the Europeans came, the American buffalo or bison, they were in harmony with the Native Americans hunting them, and they weren't taking any more than they needed. But as American settlers pushed west and pushed the railroad west and tried to hook up with the railroad coming east from San Francisco, they shot buffalo from the trains for fun because they could, and because it was also a food supply for Native Americans. In the process of that happening, and cutting their rangelands and stuff, decimating their rangelands, practically pushed the American buffalo into extinction. Practically, right? And there's been some revival attempts, of course, but and there's even, you can even, as far as I know, you can actually eat a buffalo burger, you know. not that the buffaloes are practically enjoying that, I mean, I mean, if we imagine the ridiculous spiritualism, so I'm not enjoying getting eaten here, well, I continue on, I feed this human, and then I become part of the human, and the cells, most of the cells, except for the brain, recycle every 7 years. So, well, I'll stay with this human for at least, 7 years, That's about as long as Salvatore can stay in a relationship. Yeah, we should end it there on a high note. We should end it there on a high note, man. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Through the mountains, through the valleys, white with snow. Oh, God bless America, my home, sweet